who else has a direct line to the NBA and can say, hey, man, your player is something not right with him. Is he playing today? What is the deal? Y'all might want to watch the situation.
Right.
Who else has that contact, right? I mean, we all say it sometimes when there's a replay. Right. Like, they're not calling the replay center. They finna call Vegas.
Right.
Like, hey, what do we need to do on this?
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real life. Street Starz. You know what time it is. Since you've been gone, man, it's been a lot of wild things going on, man. Let's talk. The first thing we have to talk about, breaking news, is this NBA gambling scandal that has really kind of shook up the world, man. I think they say this is the first time a coach, a player, and an assistant coach have actually been actively arrested on actively gambling, right? So they have it here, October 23rd. They picked up Chauncey Billups, which everybody respects.
Was huge, yes.
Everybody respects Chauncey Billups. And it says, along with 30 other individuals in an illegal poker gambling network and insider sports betting operation. They say that the poker scheme is alleged to be tied to major mafia families, all 5 of them. And they're using X-ray table and special lenses to be able to fraud some of these players. So they also said that it generated over at least $7 million, which I think is probably way higher than that. And it did spawn, in LA, Vegas, all kind of places. So when that news broke, you being in your lawyer brain, what was the first thing that came in your brain?
Why, brothers? That was the question. Why? Why? Because, in using real life terms, they're pretty much cooked. I see some potential legal defenses to what they've done, but the problem that they have is they've taken what may be normal, right? And when I say normal, let's just be honest. From junior high, you got young boys, we go from throwing quarters, first closest quarter to the wall.
Right.
When we find out about dice in high school, is dice, and that carries over.
Right.
Right. And so there's always been that sense of gambling. But
there were consequences to trick dice.
Right. Right. But listen, they're getting the consequences of getting caught gambling. They're not getting the consequences of getting caught cheating.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about that. Now, the government is throwing in the cheating aspect of it to make it even, as they say, saucier.
Right.
But the whole thing was the whole gambling activity and the people who were involved. When they start saying the mafia, that's when that is really crucial, because this is really a thread. I think it was an arrest last year, there was a plea deal. One of the NBA players, former NBA players, had gotten caught gambling. And this case is kind of tied into that. The government always looks up and finds a thread. Once they find that thread to criminal activity, then they start pulling on it. And when they start sniffing around and see that there are bigger fish involved, then that's when they really go all in. And that's what happened here.
Okay, well, in an in-poker rigging scheme, that's typically like a RICO, right? So can you walk us through how like a RICO would happen in this scenario where you have mafia plus players?
It goes back to every time. Look, man, I've said it, right? It goes back to how the money is transported. And once you start leaving state lines, then you bring in the feds, because now you're dealing with interstate commerce. Whether you are doing and when wire comes in, they're talking about the transfer of funds either through any electronic format, Zelle, Cash App, normal banking transactions, wires. Anytime that you start using electronic data to transfer funds, you have just invited the feds to come into your business. And that is what has transpired. And so when it goes, let's go back to Puffy, right? It goes back to you doing a criminal activity and then using legal transfers or illegal pathways to transfer money to enhance your criminal activity. That's why it's there. It's to stop people from using legal means to enhance their criminal enterprises. And that's what you have here, because if I'm doing it interstate, now we know there's most likely more than one person involved, and now you have a criminal enterprise.
How does this type of scandal do you feel like will affect the public image of the NBA? Because if you look at it, right, they waited until after the first game to drop this hammer. Literally, opening day just happened. The next day, you drop this hammer. They say the 5 members of the mob family are in it, but you see 3 black players. Like, it doesn't even add up. It doesn't even make any sense. Like, why are we not seeing the 27 Mafia people on here? It looks like they're literally trying to tarnish the NBA. What do you think is the motive behind that?
Man, to be honest with you, anytime that there's a criminal act and there's an African American involved, that person is going to be highlighted. Plain and simple. I mean, we could talk about crack cocaine. There were busts of tons of cocaine coming into this country, but we never saw any of those pictures. But Tyrone or, the Black Mafia family?
Yeah.
Those pictures are up there.
Yeah.
But somebody had to get them the cocaine.
Exactly.
So we never posted those. And a lot of times, I'm going to say allegedly.
Right.
A lot of times, allegedly, the government knows that those are just faces that they can put in because the line stops. But out of those 27 other individuals, there may be someone that they need to further their investigation into something much larger. The average juror is going to say, gambling? Okay, number one, if you're, especially in Texas, right? As a Christian, you shouldn't be gambling anyway. So everybody at fault, and that goes for the legal gambling companies, right?
Right.
Because gambling shouldn't be around. Now you go to somebody who's okay with gambling, they're like, it's always been fixed. Whether you're talking about horse racing, Vegas, the crap table, the slot machine, the house always has an end to win money.
Right.
So, okay, they got busted, not right, you caught them. Punishment is not going to be that severe. It's different because it's the feds, because it's statutory. The judge has some leeway, but not a whole lot to just do away and as you would, or to do what they would in a state court, right? And so there's that in that regard. But back to the faces. I mean, Chauncey ain't no real thug. All he has is this. But I'm not gonna say any names, but suspect AB, he might have ties into murder. He might have ties into sex trafficking. He might have ties into any of those things that a larger criminal enterprise might be involved in. And they need to protect his identity in order to further their investigations.
You know what's so crazy? And I don't say this proudly, but I do sports bet, right? I use Prize Pick, Underdog. I use all the apps, right? And if you're a sports bettor, you watched it with your own eyes where shit just don't be right. It'd be like, I'll give you an example, right? It'll be a player where it's like, hey, over or under is 20 points. This guy will get 18, 19 points in 2 quarters. Then you don't see him again. Shit like that. There was a story where this just happened in a game the other day where on a college team where I think the guy took the football and literally ran it all the way back to a safety. He was on like his own 5-yard line and he ran all the way back to his thing and got a safety. Like it's almost too obvious what they're doing, right? So the question that I had for you was, what legal ramifications does like a Prize Picks or a sports betting app have in these scenarios where the games are being fixed, or do they have any liability in this?
So one of the things that I thought was interesting is that when I was doing the research and studying, there was reports that in this particular instance, in one of the instances that, or charges, incidents that are being charged, they said that the sports betting agency or company notified the NBA that something wasn't right.
That's right. You're right.
And that, okay.
$200,000 came in on the under on Terry Rozier.
Yes.
And that's what tipped him off specifically. Yeah.
And so, exactly. And so you have situations like that. I think, number one, I'm pretty sure that there's some insurance company that's insuring the sports betting agencies to underwrite them being able to do what they're doing. That's the first thing. Or they're basically underwriting themselves in a sense that they have the money in reserves in order to protect themselves from something of that nature. Then you have the fact that they have the ability, and I'm not exactly sure if it hadn't been negotiated, I would love to see this contract, that because the NBA and the NFL and the other sports leagues have allowed and gotten in bed with these companies, if there's not some kind of protection in the sense that we're going to give you part of these proceeds because you okayed it,
Right.
but you have to monitor your athletes. And if your athletes go rogue and start messing with the betting portion of it, you're going to be liable for that. Or that team is going to be liable.
Wasn't it you that came on this very same podcast and said, you basically made it seem like when you were saying who controls all of this shit, and you kind of made it seem like, well, Vegas is the one running the script. Yeah. I remember you saying something like that. Are we seeing this play out in real time?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. Who else has a direct line to the NBA and can say, hey, man, your player is something not right with him. Is he playing today? What is the deal? Y'all might want to watch the situation.
Right.
Who else has that contact? Right? I mean, we all say it sometimes when there's a replay. Right. Like, they're not calling the replay center. They finna call Vegas.
Right.
Like, hey, what do we need to do on this? Do we need to do we need to allow this first down? Or we need to who to say Vegas ain't calling the replay center? It's like, that's a catch.
Man, this documentary gonna be crazy, bro.
That's a catch. But I mean, going all the way back to the Miami Heat versus the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes.
We talked about it.
Yes.
When Larry Wade taking shots and Dirk is 5, at least, let's not exaggerate. He's probably about a good 2 feet away from Larry Wade.
Right.
Even with his arm span, and he's getting fouls called on him.
Right.
Changed the trajectory of the game.
Yeah.
The whole series.
And Tim Donaghy, the ref that kind of got outcasted, talks about this. He actually just said today that the script is, hey, these 15 plays, watch out for these, and we're going to make the game, we're going to tilt the game this way to get it to 6 games, to get it to 7 games. And people thought he was crazy, but now with this coming out, it makes you wonder how deep does this go in sports? Because when you think about the money they generate, why wouldn't this be reality TV?
Brother, the only regret I have, because I don't know a whole lot about gambling. I don't really gamble. But at the beginning of college football season, I said, what are the odds for Texas A&M to make the playoff? Because I went to Texas A&M.
Right.
It was like 3,000 to 1. And
I know you wish you put a dub on there.
And I could not figure out how to place a bet. And so, sometimes being green can cost you green.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just chuckled about that because somebody might have thought I had the fix in on the A&M season, but that wasn't the case.
Now I want to play this out, right?
All right.
Let's just say they just arrested 27 people, right? Mm-hmm. This is going to be a crazy hypothetical, but they come back and say LeBron, KD, Steph, they just named like the top 10 players. They're all in it. What happens then?
At that point, the federal government would lose their case.
Why you say that?
Go back to my Roger Goodell, not Roger Goodell, owner of the Patriots. Remember I talked about that?
Right.
I talked about the feds had video of him.
Right.
Video. Like, they didn't assume, they didn't think, they didn't say, well, she went in and he went in, maybe. No, they got video of him that never saw the light of day, and he never saw a courtroom. Imagine the owners of those teams. What are those? You just named out five billionaires.
Right.
5 billionaires. And billionaires who have ties with Musk and everybody else in Silicon Valley. You honestly think this case would go any further? No, man. And I'm not just talking about conspiracy theories.
Right.
I mean,
well, that is kind of a conspiracy theory.
it's not a conspiracy.
Okay,
It's
so
not-
what,
it's
like,
not-
can we define what a conspiracy theory means?
No, and the reason why I say that is when the stock market went down because of the housing
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah.
There are some industries and some companies and some individuals are too big to fail.
Got you.
That not gonna let that happen. Not gonna let that happen.
But you know what's so crazy? I would have never guessed that they would have scooped up somebody like Chauncey. We're talking about Chauncey Billups has like not a stain on his image, bro.
Yeah.
To go from that to this is a wild turn of events. Like, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this.
Let's talk about the actual crime.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's talk about the actual crime.
There's 2 different crimes though.
No,
You have the sports betting and you have the poker table.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a term in the community that's some shit.
Right.
This is honestly some shit
Yeah.
on a larger scale.
But when you talk about mob though,
Listen to what I'm saying.
yeah.
You go to a club, you meet someone, you have a conversation.
Yeah.
They may know who you are, might not. You sit and talk, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, you are so-and-so and so-and-so. And then you form a friendship. I've done it. I've been places and have formed friendships with individuals, and I'm like, Jesus, right? Like, let me check the news before I visit or have a drink with this person, because I don't know what the heck is going on in their life.
Right.
And I don't want to get caught up in no BS.
Right.
And so I think you could have a situation where Chauncey Billups or someone is at a club, they meet someone, maybe low end in the Mafia. They become friends. He says, yeah, man, me and a couple of guys play cards all the time. And they're like, man, we could sell you this table, kind of give yourself the upper hand. And then he says, cool. He says, they do it with the glasses and it works out well. And then he's like, hey, man, thanks for the table. We kind of do this in different locations. It's like, cool. We want to be a part of it. We're going to provide you all the digital assets that you need in order to rig the games. You ain't got to pay us for it up front. Just whatever you skim off of them, give us a piece. It's just, in their minds, it probably wasn't a big deal, right? Because even in...
But scamming your homies that's kind of...
Dude.
That's next level wrong, bro.
It is. But anybody who has played or known a professional athlete, knows that quite a few of them like to gamble.
Yeah.
And you will, and sometimes they gamble so frivolously. Like, I'm put $5,000 on this bet versus your 500. Okay, knucklehead. Go ahead. Let me get you real quick. I need to win this hand. So let me fold a card or scratch a card or two with my fingernail so I can see the back of it. When they hold it up, I know what they got. Right? So if I see them cards, I don't do that because I'm finna win this 5,000. And so, I mean, people people do things like that, and it just, in their mind, so what? I beat someone who's making $20 million a year for $30,000 tonight.
Right.
He ain't gonna feel it. He would pay me $30,000 not to tell his wife he here with his girlfriend. He ain't gonna miss it. Let me go ahead and then it makes me good with them, and then it makes me good with this other side, this criminal element.
Shout out RealLyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move. Hey.